Welcome back to my channel, welcome if you are new. My name is Lisa and today is a very strange one because I've not uploaded in a long time, in about 3-4 months, and I will get onto that in a different video as to why that is, but I'm here today to give you my semi-finalist for SPFBO and I'm really excited because it's my first time being a SPFBO judge, so it was very interesting. I'm going to give you a rundown of the 6 books that I got, and then I'm going to tell you who my semi-finalist is out of those. So the first up is The Good Family Robinson. So this follows a family, there's corrupt nations going to war. There's this ancient evil called the Old One that's awakened and is driven by hate, and it wants to just destroy everything it possibly can. And we meet the family at the beginning of the book when they've moved out of the city and they've lived in this area where it's slowly becoming more violent in those areas and people are noticing it, and it's them agreeing as a family to go to their farm, and some of the family move to a farm to get away from the events that are going on, the violence and everything, not realising that there's more violence to come, and going out into the middle of nowhere to a farm doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get away from the bad events that are happening. But then we've also got the part of the story where 2 of the eldest children are having to make their way to the family separately. So you've got those 2 stories, and basically there's this age of prophecy that says the Robinson family are supposed to be the foundation of this new world. So there's like a worldwide cataclysm that just destroys everything, and they are prophesized to be sort of like the foundation of this new world, and it sort of follows them as they, go through this horrible event. I think for me it leaned a little bit, although there are some fantastical aspects to the book, it did lean a bit dystopian. Not saying that's a bad thing, but if you do like a more dystopian feel in your books, then I think this one would be for you. But this was not one that I selected as my semi-finalist, but it was by all means a really good book. Next up we had Nevermore by Glenn Adams. So I'll just read you the tagline that really intrigued me when I first got this book. So Ariel Toussaint looks 16. Her passport says that she's 21. If she had a birth certificate, you would know she's actually 1,248. So this is another one that involved an ancient prophecy, and for me, I just feel like it was a little bit too short, but also a bit too wordy for me. So if you don't mind wordy prose, then you might enjoy this, but it is full of magic. It is about an older band of people getting back together again and trying to fulfill this prophecy. So if you do like that kind of book, then I think that you would enjoy this, but it wasn't selected as my semi-finalist. So next up we have The Lost Girl by A.L. Montague, and this is sort of, I'd probably say it's more of a coming-of-age story. So I'm just going to read you the blurb. Cantilena never wanted to be different. She never wanted a mother's mark. You can't choose your family, and who would choose a witch for their mother? She wants nothing more than to be anyone but Mayweaver's daughter. The only way that's ever going to happen is outside the High Valley that's protected them from the Inquisition and the Commoners' War. But Canta doesn't know what the world is like down the mountain. She is not prepared to experience it. When she runs away with her boyfriend, she puts not only herself but her whole family in danger. So I would say this is a coming of age story, but it is quite dark. So again, just be mindful of that going in. It does give you like a bit of a content warning at the beginning. It's really not. So you've got a rebellious girl that is dealing with things that she doesn't really fully understand, but she makes decisions based on how she feels. And as a teenager growing up, you don't always make the best decisions, and I think it has a good balance between sort of like the dark and gritty stuff and also, not, I won't say light and fluffy, but you know what I mean, it has a good balance. If you enjoy intricate magic systems, beasts, a bit of a coming of age story, a book that's slightly dark, then I recommend that you go and pick this up. Again, I will leave everything linked below. So we're coming to I would say these 3 are my top 3 out of the picks. And I'll just read you the blurb for the next one. And that is called Reaper's Bend by Jonah Everett. And I will say that, like, the top 3 were the ones that I struggled with the most to pick my finalists. But out of these 3 that I'm going to read next, are the ones that I really struggled with in deciding, like, which one I wanted to put through. So highly recommend you check these out. So I'll read the blurb on Reaper's Bend by Jonah Everett. Kairos will stop at nothing to get his revenge. He chases a man who took everything from him deep in the twisted land of death, Reaper's Bend. Iris refuses to give in to the curse that's slowly killing her. Legend has it that the fabled eternity tree resting at the edge of the bend might just save her. Monsters and creatures from out of their nightmares await them as they stumble into a web of ancient blood feuds, discovering quickly that their tasks are not as simple as they seem, and in Reaper's Bend, even death itself may not be a respite. Jonah does a great blend of horror and fantasy, but also of building a plot while building characters, and everyone knows who's watched me for any length of time that building a great set of characters is something that's really important to me when I read books. If I don't have characters that I can feel something for, then even if you have the best plot in the world, I struggle. And Jonah had a really good balance in this book. So if you do like fantasy that has like creepy, horror-y aspects to it, and you really do like following a really good plot with great character development, then I would highly recommend you reach out and pick up Reaper's Bend, because before SPFBO I hadn't heard of this book, and I will be looking out for more books from Jonah. So the next up is Shroud of Whispers by Jeffrey A. Smith, and I'm just going to read you some of the synopsis for this one because it's quite a long one and I don't know where to stop, so I'm just going to probably read you the first couple of paragraphs. If I'm pronouncing anything wrong, I apologise. None of these had audiobooks, so I'm really not used to just having to go based on what I think it sounds like. So Samuel Amulin is invisible to the undead. His unique gift was discovered years ago, and now he works reluctantly as an inquisitor for the local temple, investigating undead-related incidents in the city where he lives. Trula Dom, a disgraced clockmaker's apprentice, struggles with an opium addiction, living in the sanctuary of the temple where Samuel works. She's been haunted by whispers in her mind ever since a stranger tattooed her back with runes. I'm going to leave it there, because I feel like that in itself sort of grips you and tells you from the offset this is not just your normal fantasy. It's got a little bit of a murder mystery in there. I think that my taste in fantasy is changing. So this has a little bit of a murder mystery to it, but it is quite... It does still have a really good magic system. And obviously with True and the past trauma and drug addiction, I don't have any lived experience of that, but just from reading that, I feel like it was done really well just from an outside observer. I didn't feel like it was overdone, and it just felt like it was done really sensitively as well. So if you do like a book that's fantasy but has a little bit of something mixed in with it as well, so you know, in Reaper's Bend, you've got horror and fantasy. In Shroud of Whispers, you've got murder mystery and fantasy with a little bit of like trauma dumping on there. I did really like this, and again, this is a reason why I found that my top 3 was so hard to pick from. But this is the first of the series, and I will be looking out for more from this author. So the last book out of the 6 that I read was The Inherited Blade by, again, sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Jai Sorensen, and I'm going to read you the first part of this synopsis. RJ's father broke Valicia's oldest rule, never let the world know we exist. Hidden within a medieval world of swords and stone, Valicia is an island of steam and gears, a secret worth killing for. For 8 years, RJ has fled the shadows of Drossmark, the steam-powered enforcer who murdered his parents. Along with a disgraced thief and a rescued warhound, RJ is running out of places to hide. So this opens with quite an intense sort of, I won't say it's a chase scene, but it's sort of like they're fleeing their world, like their home. From the outset, I was intrigued, and it gripped you because you don't know why they're running to start with, but you know that, like, the stakes are clearly high. But the world building in this one is so good, and you really get, if you're like me and you can visualise things when you read them, you really do get a fully fleshed out world that you can just see in your mind's eye, and it is so good. But once again, that blends really nicely with the character building, and again, it's dark. I personally wouldn't say it's overly gritty and sort of not sort of like Rob J. Hayes dark, and but it is still it is a dark fantasy novel, so be mindful going in. But I think the characters were well developed, the world was well developed, and this is another one that I will be putting on my radar to read the next in the series for. If you enjoy a book that has dark themes, great world building, great character building, but also has multiple POVs, we do like a multi-POV story, then I highly recommend you check out Inherited Blade. Reading them was easy bit, but deciding who my semi-finalist was is the hardest thing, and I feel like I just feel so bad for the ones that don't get picked. But I really struggled to pick between the top three, but decided to go with the Inherited Blade as my semi-finalist. I am really, really intrigued to continue with a couple of these other series, especially Reaper's Bend and Shroud of Whispers, the series that I am still really, really interested in reading more from Jeffrey A. Smith and John Everhart, but the Inherited Blade just picked them to the post, and although they weren't picked as my semi-finalist, I hope that if the authors see this, I don't know if they will, that they appreciate that I still really enjoyed their books. So, yeah, my semi-finalist is The Inherited Blade, and now we're going on to the next stage where we will be reading all of the semi-finalists to see who the finalists are going to be. I don't know what else to say, so I'm going to go, and I will see you all in whatever comes next.